Hello everyone, it's Molly over C, and today's a super exciting day because it is Dante and I's first dressage show together. First show ever together, actually. I may be an eventer at heart, but I'm pumped to see how we do in our first level test today. So let's get him ready to be hauled over to the Baroness's showgrounds before I find myself late. I was sure to give myself ample time this morning so I could take on the whole show prep process with as little anxiety as is possible for a show morning. I know, pretty high expectations. First things first, I had to get him looking presentable, of course, so I gave Dante a good brush down. I'm just using a body brush here to remove any dirt and dust. Next, it was time to pick those hooves, and while I did, I just double checked he had all 4 shoes because there is no worse feeling than loading your horse in the trailer for a show in the morning and realizing that they're missing a shoe. My horses always like to pull that one on me. Now it's bubble bath time because Dante is just that fancy. And I rinsed him off completely and applied the shampoo using a sponge. I have these really fun mitts that you can just put on your hands and really get in there for those tough to get spots. So I did that as well. And then I gave him a quick rinse and spray with some show shine, and he was almost good to go. And while I waited for him to dry off a bit, I managed to quickly put my hair up in a nice neat bun and applied some minimal makeup, just enough to look polished, so I could kind of pop out in the ring, keeping it simple is key when you're on the go, aka when you're late. I know, I said it wouldn't happen, but here we are, we're making do with it. Once his mane and tail were mostly dry, I put them into plaits, and I must say, I'm quite proud of these plaits. I'm finally getting the hang of it after how many years in the equestrian industry, like 15. The point is, I got there and they actually look decent. After that, to keep him from getting a chill and to help him dry faster, I popped on his cooler and safety first, of course. So I also put on his shipping boots as well as a tail bandage, just to keep his tail looking smart. Once he was all dressed and ready, it was time to load him up. Loading can be a bit tricky sometimes. I find that this trailer can be a bit intimidating for a big 17-hand horse. Monty has the same problem, but I always keep calm and give him plenty of encouragement, and look at him go. He was super confident today. On our hour-long drive there, I kept peeking at the trailer cam to make sure he wasn't getting up to any funny business. As I suspected, he was being a very patient boy the whole time, just contentedly munched on his hay net the whole way down. I can't speak for Dante, but I appreciate a nice long drive to a show because it helps me mentally prepare, get in the zone, listen to some music to hype me up. Now, I haven't explained much about this particular dressage show. So this is the Baroness's Dressage Festival. The Baroness hosts this event annually. People are coming from all around Jorvik to attend this event, so there's quite a big bunch here. That means the show kicked off bright and early at 7:30 a.m. Lucky for me though, my time slot was at 9:25 a.m., which meant that I could sleep in a little bit and didn't have to wake up at midnight to get ready, but also meant that I had to race out of my truck and start getting my show gear on because I had T-minus an hour until go time. First things first, I had to put my show outfit on, so I pulled on my tall boots, made sure they were shined to perfection to keep us looking sharp, and then I slipped into my tailored white shirt, adjusted my fitted jacket, which together gives you that classic look, and then to keep everything in place on top, I slid a hairnet on. With my hair done, I checked my accessories, so I added my white show gloves, and then I popped my favorite sparkly helmet on. With the minutes counting down until showtime, it was time to turn my attention to my boy Dante. So of course, I had to put off his cooler, popped off his shipping boots, and then I put on his gorgeous white dressage saddle pad, perfect for the shows, and then I grabbed his black dressage saddle. It is my absolute favorite saddle with that gold bling. Ugh, so elegant. And then I put on his matching bridle. You guys, it is bustling out here right now. There are so many people, and for as early as it is, I actually have a lot of adrenaline in me, lots of energy, thanks to those first show jitters. Anyways, it's time to go ahead and warm up, so let's do it, Dante. As I mounted up, I just felt that show excitement in the air. It was super cool, but also a little intimidating to see all these fancy dressage horses doing their thing. Of course, now I have a fancy dressage horse, thanks to Dante, so I guess we fit right in. Dante was warming up beautifully, his movements were fluid, and I loved the way he was responding to my cues, despite all the buzz around us. Now, as part of our warm-up routine, I focused on several key dressage-specific exercises to ensure he was really ready for the test ahead. So first, I began with some transitions between gaits. I asked Dante to move from walk to trot with a light squeeze of my legs, and this really helps him engage his muscles and get him into the rhythm of the work. I also incorporated some circles and serpentines to help him loosen up and stretch his body. I kept the circle small at first, and my main focus was on maintaining a steady tempo while making sure he was also balanced. As we worked through the serpentines, I made sure to prepare him for lateral movements by asking for some leg yields. This would be really important for our leg yield movement later in the test. And then I added a few simple exercises to just get him moving freely. So we did some lengthening in the trot while still maintaining balance and control. I could feel his energy starting to build, and I loved how he was beginning to really connect with me. I felt like we were really clicking in the session. But as we transitioned into collected trot and canter transitions, we could all hear this loud crash that came from the nearby Everwind oil fields. And I could just see all the ears of the nearby horses perk up in alarm. Some darted away. There was a couple that reared up. As soon as it happened, Dante shot forward, and I felt a very unsettling shift in his confidence. We took a moment to regroup, and I quickly praised him. I just gave him some pats, reassured him, but even as I tried to do this, I could feel his tension still lingering in his muscles. He was definitely on high alert still. I knew I had to keep him calm and focused as we finished our warm-up, but honestly, I couldn't shake that uneasy feeling in my gut. Like, what was gonna happen next? Would there be another unexpected noise sending him into a spiraling panic? But with some effort, we were almost in sync, though definitely a little on edge, which in hindsight might have been a mistake to hold on to that feeling. I got to the show ring a bit early to watch some fellow competitors go before me. It was really fascinating to see their performances, and it really helped settle my own nerves. However, I could tell that Dante was feeling a bit tiptoey, but I kept my focus on the other competitors just to distract our minds. My thought process was that the less focus I had on him, the less my jitters would rub off on him. And drumroll, folks, because sooner than later, it was go time. Now, this dressage test would prove to be more difficult than anything I had attempted before because, well, it is the highest level dressage test that I've ever done. So of course, there is a higher expectation from the judges and more challenging movements and figures. We started with entering at A. I focused on keeping my posture tall and my energy calm to help Dante feel more at ease. As we entered, he felt a little anxious. As we moved down the center line, I made sure to maintain a steady rhythm. I could feel we were almost in sync, which was reassuring. In the halt at X, he stood really well, but he was also a little fidgety. So I just reminded myself to breathe, keep the connection through my reins. I really wanted him to stand square, which he did, but there was a slight wiggle at the end there. Moving into the rein back, I felt him really resist at first. So I just encouraged him to move back calmly, which he eventually did. Trotting off at A went really well. He moved forward positively, and I felt his energy building. In the 20-meter circle at E, Dante was a bit hesitant, especially with his focus drifting, and so was he. I worked to keep him bending properly, just applying my outside leg to push him through the circle. He needed a little extra encouragement to stay round. Then we turned right at C, down the center line, which we managed to keep pretty straight on. So I was super pleased with that because sometimes straight lines really aren't my thing. Even though it should be as easy as it sounds, it is not for me. Now for the leg yield. So I encouraged Dante to move from X to F laterally. He initially struggled with the sideways movement, but with clear leg and rein aids, he finally started to step over. And then as we transitioned to the lengthened trot from F to H, I really focused on allowing Dante to stretch out his stride. He responded really well, opened up nicely, but I needed to be careful not to lose the connection entirely. And then moving into the loop, I felt him start to get more energetic. We managed to carry through the movement, but he felt a bit unsteady, and I had to work to keep him nice and centered. Entering that 15-meter circle at B, I realized that Dante began to feel even more tense as we approached this smaller turn. I worked really hard to keep him balanced and bend correctly. He was resisting a bit, but we got through it, though not as smoothly as I'd hoped. And here comes the canter transition. Honestly, my heart was racing as I prepared for this. He shot forward with enthusiasm, which admittedly startled me. I could feel him getting a little bit more on edge though. And then in that canter circle at F, things began to feel a bit intense. And while he was giving powerful strides, he was also getting a little too forward, which made it really challenging to maintain a controlled tempo throughout the circle. difficult, as can be seen here. Now, here we transition back to trot, but I managed to keep enough control to transition smoothly, though he did feel a bit rushed, which made me nervous because as we approached B, I asked for an extended trot. However, all that built up tension reached a tipping point when someone in the crowd dropped their metal water bottle, of course, which sent Dante into a panicked rear. My heart dropped here. After the rear, I did what I could. I quickly gathered my composure. I didn't want him to feel my anxiety, and I wanted to have this still be a good experience for the both of us. So I pushed him back into a steady trot, although it wasn't that steady. I could really feel him tensing up, rushing, breaking gaits, so I was just trying to push him back into that steady trot and focusing on regaining our rhythm. Took a little bit of effort, but we managed it just in time for the final salute. He managed to stop well. I was proud that he was relaxed enough to hold it, and after that whole fiasco, we finished with our salute. Felt like we went through that whole dressage test on a wing and a prayer. And we're back here with my partner in crime, Dante, after our hectic first level dressage test. And wow, what a ride it was, literally. But we survived, and I'm super proud of us. There were a few moments where I thought he might try to launch me into the crowd, but we managed to keep it together. We definitely didn't come home with a ribbon, but I think we both learned a lot today, which was the whole point of this experience. And Dante here, he just enjoys the carrots as his reward for the show. And I know we can do a lot better, so I'm looking forward to more competitions where we might be able to showcase a bit more of what we usually look like riding together. Subscribe to join our barn family. See you all next time. Bye!
Fell in love in Minnesota and fell apart south of Salt.